Good morning, all. Welcome to this reading session. Today, I'll take context RCNN. In summary, the whole approach is to boost the performance of object detection and localization using the past memory. That's the overall summary of what this paper is. Paper has been written from team from Google and California Institute of Technology and has been published recently in April 2020. So just a little bit background. If you look at the static and the passive camera settings are everywhere. When I say it's a static and passive, where the camera has been located at only one position and is taking pictures for a long time. The ideal case would be a traffic light signal or a wild trap or in a wild where you just keep the camera. So in this setting, so in order to conserve the power and the storage, the way this camera works is it has certain motion detectors. And whenever there is certain motion happening around, the camera wakes up from the sleep and takes the picture around. And there are certain challenges in this type of cameras because most of the time, if there is a certain motion which is going on, the camera wakes up. And studies do indicate that 75% of the images which is taken in this kind of settings are blank or empty. Also, if you look at the camera is very static, so there is no guarantee whether the object would be at the center or it's a focused or well lit. And sometimes the object, as you see in terms of the wild animal, they are very close to the camera, so they are partially observed. And and it's also depend on the quality of the image is also dependent upon how the weather is, whether it's foggy or rainy. So all this posed a lot of problems in terms of object detection when we have a static camera. So, but the other important peculiar characteristics is in terms of these settings, whether it's a traffic light setting or a wild trap setting, subject always exhibit a same behavior. For an example, if there is a city bus, they take similar route or the same route in certain cities. So that is helpful as a past data point, as well as if you look at the overall background, object remains almost static around unless there is some restoration work or other things. So so in this these two peculiar characteristics helps to or there is a case to make that if we can take this whole contextual information from the past and feed it to the present frame, we can improve the object detection for the current frame. And hence the author proposes to use this data from the past frame to boost this object detection performance on the current frame. And this has been achieved via a mechanism called attention, which is a recent development or an extension of LSTM or RCNN, where the attention mechanism has been used at many places and also at some point are slated to replace the recurrent neural network. And the results what the authors got are pretty good. They have improved the efficiency by more than a double digit in almost all the data set they have experimented with. Before we go into the architecture of context RCN, I just wanted to give a little bit background on the two major blocks it has. One is the fast RCNN, which is also a state-of-the-art object detection and localization framework. And if you look at any of these RCNN for detection and localization, there are two stages in it. The stage one, when it takes the input image and it goes through the CNN network and gives you a lot of RPN, what we call as the region proposal network, wherein they just say that at certain portion of the image, there is some object which is, there are certain objects that it only identifies the image has certain object or not, not that which object. And then it proposes the ROI pool, which is also called as a region of interest pool. It is in the second stage where each of these features, which the region proposal network has given, goes through the classification layer and the object is classified. And also parallelly, there is another head where the bounding box appears, or there is a regression algorithm which makes the bounding box to each of these object treated. So that's the backbone which the author utilizes in this paper. And the other mechanism is what we call as attention block, This attention block is, I think it's a very innovative way of how we can do a weighted average of what is the key feature. So if you look at the input to the attention block can be an input feature, and in the past data, which is input feature is the present data, and the context feature can be the past data. And the both of the data have been encoded using a fully connected neural network, and the input features are converted into query, as well as the past features are converted into the key. And here the both query and the key matches out to give the weights to the all the past data, and which is added back to the context feature to get the output feature. So in a way, this is a dynamic weighted kind of a methodology where you can put a weight on the past data or a past history depending upon what your input features are. Guys, if you have a question, you can stop me anytime. Okay. So from the architecture perspective, if you look at context RCNN, you can see that there is a fast RCNN stage 1 and fast RCNN stage 2. And in between these whole two stages, they have inserted an attention mechanism wherein they try to improve the feature representation by taking features or the history, which is a short-term memory as well as the long-term memory. The way the overall architecture works is the key frame is the present frame which we want to detect, and assume that if there is no short-term and a long-term memory here, it goes to the stage 1 of fast RCNN, it goes to the key features, and then this is a residual network, and which goes to the stage 2. So in a normal setting, it is same as fast RCNN, but what we are adding are the two component to it, which is the history from the context, which is the near, the kind of short-term memory is the nearest context what we have, and the long-term memory is something where you can store memories for say a day or a week or a month, and those particular features are also being um, added to the features before it goes to the stage 2 of RCNN. And stage 2 of RCNN does the same, exactly the same job of identifying as well as building the bounding box to the image around. Any questions on this? We'll go through how the memory is been built, short term and the long term. Okay. So let's come to how do we build the short term memory. So if you look at the architecture as such, the keyframe, we can build up a short-term memory by taking the current window. It can be 10 frames near to the keyframe, or say a couple of seconds. So those are the what we call as current window. And all the
Hi,
context.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I can't see the slides changing. Is it just me?
Oh, okay, sorry. Guys, can you see the slide changed? Or
I can see the
No,
slide.
no, can't see the slides changing.
sorry,
Now I can see it.
this one?
So for the entire session, I was only able to see the first slide, which was the AI reading session.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just me, so I didn't interrupt.
Guys, can you see the slide now?
Yeah, now I can see it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So I'll go. Okay. Can you see the architecture, or do you want me to go through the RCNN and attention block again, or the architecture?
Could you explain this FRCNN thing again?
Okay.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
yeah, if you look at FRCNN, there are two stages to it. The stage 1 is we call as a feature extractor, which is built in CNN network, normal it can be backbone of ResNet or other standard networks, which gives you a feature around. As well as there is a certain amount of region proposal network, which is kind of a recurrent neural network, which gives you the region of interest pool. So what does this mean is that if you look at this traffic signal, it will give us a very different features in terms of there is certain object, but it won't identify the object, just gives you a certain region in the image where there is object present. And all this region of interest is given to a classification layer where each of this region of interest has is been classified based on the training. And there are certain amount of algorithm where we call as a bounding box algorithm, where they try to build the bounding box to the object which has been detected out. So that's the fast RCNN network. And there's another important network, which is an attention block. And the way it works, it takes the input feature or the context feature and try to do a weighted average so that you put proper weight to the past history, and those weight get added to the context feature, which is called as output features around. Do you see the slide change now?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. So if you see the overall architecture of context RCNN, it's the same as FRCNN architecture, but between the stage 1 and the stage 2, they have inserted around and two attention mechanism as well as two memory slot, so that they can fine tune the features from the current keyframe based on the past history. So the in a normal scenario, what we want to detect is a keyframe, which is marked in the blue color, which goes to the stage 1 of FRCNN, and which also gives you a lot of RPNs or ROIs, region of interest. And there are residual paths or network around those two mechanisms, and it goes to the stage 2. So in theory, if there is no attention block or there is no memory, short term or a long term, it will exactly behave as FRCNN. Now, the author have inserted a short-term memory as well as a long-term memory to fine-tune the features based on the history. Um, do you see the slide change?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's come how does the short-term memory work? So in terms of short-term memory, you can take a certain window, which can be a couple of frames from the present frame, which is also passed through the stage 1 of FRCNN, and they also get their own features out. These feature vectors are stored into the memory mechanism. Okay, so that's how the short-term memory is being used. So the real use of this kind of memory is, you can assume that in a current frame, if there is a car and it moves out a little bit, if there was a single detection camera, there might be a chance that it doesn't detect the car because the car has occluded in the overall frame as such. But when you have this past history from the current window, it would definitely help to identify that this object is car, because it is also taking features from the past. Okay, so now the question is, how do we dynamically get these features around? And this is where the attention mechanism comes in, wherein the input features are the features which comes dynamically from the keyframe as well as the current window. The context features are the features which are there from the past, which is already there into the memory bank. And now, based on the input features, the proper context features or the keys have been matched, and the weights have been assigned to the overall vector, and which get added to the context features. So this is how, if you look at the overall attention mechanism, you probably put up a lot of weight to the past history based on your input frames. Since this attention mechanism is all differentiable, you can easily train it using the backprop algorithm also. Yeah. Now let's come on the long-term memory. So ideally we could have thought that we should feed in the entire day or week or a month of memory into it, but this would be a challenge based on the storage required, as well as if you want to do a dynamic training, it will take a lot of compute power as well as time consuming. So the paper here suggests to use a pre-trained detection model like MS COCO, or you can also build up your custom model. So the way the long-term memory has been made is that you make a pre-trained model, you feed all the past data into it to get the feature vectors and store it into a memory around. So this is how the long-term memory has been created. So if you look in a nutshell, between the stage 1 and the stage 2 of FRCNN, a relevant past, which is the context features, are being added to the keyframe to boost the detection accuracy. This is whole the overall intuition about the context RCNN is around. So let's come to the result perspective. So if you look at the results, context RCNN outperforms single frame on all the data sets they have used. the SS and the CCT data set is a wild animal data set, plus the CC is a CT cam data set. So it outperforms every single frame object detection. And another important aspect is, if you look, they have done kind of many experiments around. If you take the memory for 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, and 1 week, and a 1 month, you see that the more the memory you are taking in, the better the result goes in. And this is very important because which gives a strong indication that the context and the past do play a good amount of um, I would say good amount of impact on how we do the object detection. Also, they try to do different kind of ablations in terms of the architecture. What happens when they use just the short-term attention mechanism? What happens when just do the long-term attention, as well as the short-term plus long-term? And the result with having the short-term and the long-term does have a better accuracy as compared to having a single attention mechanism. So can you see these pictures? I know they might not be at the high resolution, but so on the left hand side is the single frame detection. On the right hand side is the context RCNN. And now if you look at the object moving out of the frame, this is the car which the single frame camera is not able to detect. But since the context RCNN does have an context from the past, so it is able to detect the car which is just moving out of the frame. In the second example, this is there is an object under the tree, which is, if you look at, I don't know if it's visible, but there's another elephant which is there under the tree, which the single frame camera is not able to detect, but in the context RCNN, it is able to detect. And one of the reasons what the author says, probably they know that animal always comes in herds, and that's the input which the current frame gets from the past. Another important aspect is when you have a single frame detector at the edge of the frame, at this point where the green box is there, there is certain animal which has been missed by a single frame detector. And if you use the context RCNN, those boxes are also been identified at the corner cases. This is one of the key benefit which you also can see in terms of context RCNN. If it's the objects are poorly lit, so there is a herd of deers, and if you look at the single frame object detection, it only detects one deer. But in terms of context RCNN, it detects the other deers also. And the rationale given on the paper was because they all know that in terms of animals, they always come in herds, and very rarely they come as a single. So that kind of history definitely helps to detect various objects in the current frame. From the perspective of the traffic or the cityscape data set, the single frame object detector detected this pathway as a car, as opposed to context RCNN, where the rationale was this structure is all there in all the context at the past, and the detector knows that this is a stable or a static structure at the background. So it might not be any moving car or any other structure. It's just the background of the background. So another important aspect when it came, if you look at the curve of the confidence threshold, which is the threshold of detecting an object, as well as the false positive, the context RCNN doesn't do pretty well on the low confidence window. But as the confidence windows go high, you see the single frame beats the context RCNN. So this was a very surprising result for the authors, because in all other parameter, context RCNN was giving a better output than the single frame. So what they did, and I have just written them as a verbatim. So they investigated the 100 highest confidence false positive from the context RCNN, and found that in almost out of 97 out of 100, the model in fact has correctly found and classified animals that were missed by human annotators. So what does this mean? Was this model was doing even better than